Okay, so money, right? It's like everyone's always wondered, like, what's the real difference between, the super wealthy and everyone else?
Right.
Is it just like luck? Or were they burned with a silver spoon? Maybe they're just like financial geniuses.
Some secret formula.
Exactly. So this YouTube video we're diving into today, it's like, nope, none of that. They say it all comes down to how you handle your money, like no matter how much or how little you have.
Interesting.
I know, right? So, full transparency, this video, it's your classic motivational speaker on YouTube.
Okay.
High energy, maybe a tad cheesy at times, but that's part of the fun, honestly. We're going to break down their main points, see if there's any actual science behind it, and hopefully give you some stuff you can actually use.
Yeah, and I think it's important to be really thoughtful with any financial advice you come across. Don't just take it at face value. What works for one person might not work for another, right? So think about your own situation, your own goals as we go through this.
Totally. So they start off with this metaphor about handing a kid who's struggling with a single scoop ice cream cone, a triple scoop cone.
Okay.
And I mean, obviously that's a recipe for disaster.
For sure.
Meltdown city. And the speaker's point is, learning to manage wealth is kind of the same thing. You don't start with the triple scoop. You start with what you can handle, master that single scoop, then, work your way up.
Yeah.
Makes sense, but it kind of made me realize how often we get overwhelmed just thinking about money,
Yeah. Absolutely. And then that's where, the psychology of scarcity comes in. When you constantly feel like you're lacking something, your brain kind of freaks out, right? It goes into survival mode. It's like you can't even see the long term because you're so busy trying to make ends meet today. The video really stresses starting small, and it's not just about being careful, it's about building the habit, which can be more powerful than any of those feelings of scarcity.
Habits, habits, habits. This video is all about habits. They lay out this whole 6-account system. You heard of this?
Must have, yeah.
So it's freedom, long-term savings, personal development, basic needs, fun money, and donations. And they assign a percentage to each one, mostly 10%. It's like a recipe for your paycheck. Which, honestly, part of me was like, okay, that's kind of appealing. Just tell me what to do.
Yeah, I can see the appeal for sure. It's clear, it's simple. For someone who's just starting out, that can be so much less intimidating than, some super complicated budgeting method.
Well, yeah.
The thing is, you can't take it as the absolute rule. Those percentages are a starting point, right? You got to adjust based on your own needs, your goals, where you are in life.
Oh, for sure. Customize it. But one thing I did like was the emphasis on paying yourself first. Don't wait till the end of the month to see what's left, but actually put money into those accounts right when you get paid. Make it a priority.
Now, that is a powerful principle. It's amazing how many people treat saving or investing as an afterthought. It's oh, if there's anything left after the bills and the fun stuff, then I'll think about the future. By paying yourself first, you're prioritizing your goals, making them non-negotiable.
Yeah, and to make it even more real, they suggest having a dedicated financial freedom jar, like a physical jar.
Oh, I like that.
Right, where you put money every single day. It's like this visual reminder of what you're working towards,
I love it.
Instead of those trip fund jars, it's for your whole life.
It might sound a little, out there, but there's some really fascinating behavioral economics behind this. Think about it. Visual cues, consistent small actions, those are super powerful drivers of habit formation. You're basically training your brain to link good feelings with saving money.
It's instead of relying on willpower, which, let's be real, can be very unreliable.
Oh, yeah.
You're setting up your environment to kind of nudge you in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's what you think of habit stacking, too, attaching a new habit to one you already have.
Exactly. Brushing your teeth, then putting $1 in your financial freedom jar. The more you integrate these practices into your routine, the less they feel like chores and the more they become automatic. It's not just about managing money, it's about shaping your behavior, which is way more powerful in the long run, right?
And speaking of long run, this video is big on starting now, W. It doesn't matter how much you have, just start. No waiting for that perfect moment. It's about taking action, even if it seems small.
It's so easy to fall into that trap of, I'll start managing my money when I have more money. But the reality is the earlier you begin, the more time you have on your side. Time is this incredibly valuable asset when it comes to investing and letting good habits compound.
And this video really hammers home that long-term mindset, don't they? They're not promising you're going to win the lottery. It's about building those sustainable habits that over time lead to wealth.
It's about shifting your mindset, right? moving away from scarcity and instant gratification towards abundance and long-term thinking. And that takes effort. It takes a willingness to really examine those deep-seated beliefs we have about money, which, funnily enough, is what the next part of this video dives into.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. And yeah, maybe a little motivational speaker cheesy, but stick with us. I think there's a really important idea here.
He does get pretty amped up, but let's see what we can extract, right?
Right. So the speaker asks this question: what if managing your money wasn't about restriction, but about freedom? And honestly, that kind of stopped me in my tracks, because I don't know about you, but I usually think about budgeting as like limiting. It's all, don't spend this, can't afford that. Not exactly liberating, right?
It's a really common misconception. We equate budgets with deprivation. But think about it this way. By taking control of your finances, you're actually taking control of your choices, your life.
See, and that's exactly their point.
Okay.
The video argues that when you're financially secure, you have the power to do what you're passionate about, spend time with people you care about, basically design a life that aligns with your values.
Which is amazing when you think about it. And that's where true financial freedom lies. It's not just about having a ton of money in the bank. It's about having the resources and, more importantly, the mindset to live life on your own terms. It's about getting rid of that constant financial stress and opening up possibilities.
Which, let's be real, can feel kind of impossible sometimes,
Yeah.
especially with everything going on in the world, the economy and all that. But even though the video acknowledges those challenges, it's also surprisingly hopeful. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, it doesn't matter where you're at right now, you can change your situation. It's all about adopting these principles, taking action, and sticking with it, obviously.
That's such an important message. I mean, yeah, there are always external factors, the economy, the job market, all of that. But it's so easy to get stuck feeling like you have no control over anything. The truth is, we do have control. We control our choices, our habits, our mindsets. And those small shifts, they can make a huge difference over time.
It's like, what is it? Control the controllables.
Exactly.
But like with money, instead of stressing about things you can't change, you focus on building a solid foundation for yourself, like taking care of what you can actually impact.
Precisely. And they actually take it a step further with this whole acting as if concept.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Now, hear me out, hear me out.
Because on the surface, that's a little too fake it till you make it for me.
Right.
And when it comes to money, that can be dangerous if you're not careful.
Absolutely, yeah. This isn't about like racking up debt to impress people or anything like that. It's more about embodying the mindset and the habits of someone who is financially successful.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
So it's things like being more mindful of your spending, investing in your education, surrounding yourself with people who inspire you to grow, things like that. It's about aligning your actions with your goals, even in small ways.
So instead of that impulse buy, maybe you put that money towards a course that could help you get a raise or a promotion down the line.
Exactly. It's about playing the long game, remembering that your future self will thank you. And that's where a lot of people stumble, honestly. We're constantly bombarded with get-rich-quick schemes and like overnight success stories. But building wealth, it's more like a marathon, not a sprint. It takes patience, it takes discipline, it takes delayed gratification.
It's about sticking with your plan, even when you don't see those like instant Instagrammable results, which again brings us back to habits, doesn't it?
It always comes back to habits. Those small, consistent actions, they really do add up over time. It's just, you don't always see it right away. It's like planting a seed. You don't see the growth immediately, but it's happening underground, building a strong foundation.
It's about trusting the process, which I know can be hard, especially when it feels like everyone else is, like winning at life on social media.
Oh, for sure. It's about tuning out the noise and focusing on your own journey, your own goals. And that's something this video really emphasizes, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
It's not about comparing yourself to others. It's about defining what success means to you and then taking those consistent steps to get there.
Which can be a process of like unlearning a lot of what we've been taught about money, right?
Absolutely. And that's where it gets really interesting. This next part delves into some deeper stuff, challenging some of those ingrained beliefs we have about money. It's where they ask this question: what if managing your money wasn't about restriction, but about freedom?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see where they're going with this. It's like flipping the script on budgeting, right? Instead of focusing on what you're giving up, you focus on what you're gaining, which is ultimately freedom.
Exactly. And that's a powerful shift in perspective because when we view finances through this lens of restriction, it's easy to feel resentful, even afraid. But when we see it as a path to freedom, the freedom to pursue our passions, the freedom from financial stress, the freedom to design a life that we love, suddenly managing money becomes empowering. It becomes exciting.
It's like, that feeling when you declutter a room. You haven't actually gotten rid of that much stuff, that suddenly everything feels lighter, more open. It's like that.
It's about creating space in your life for what truly matters. And I think that's what this video is really getting at. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about making conscious choices that align with your values and aspirations. It's about taking control of your finances so that you can live a life that feels genuinely abundant and authentic to you.
Which, for a lot of us, can feel like a far cry from our current reality. But the good thing is, this video doesn't sugarcoat it.
No, not at all.
It acknowledges the challenges while still offering a roadmap for change. Like, it feels very, realistic, but in a hopeful way.
Absolutely. It emphasizes that no matter your starting point, you have the power to change your financial trajectory.
That's so important.
It all comes down to adopting these principles, taking consistent action, and most importantly, believing in your ability to create a better financial future for yourself.
It's that belief, that sense of possibility that can be so motivating, right?
Absolutely. It's about shifting from a mindset of scarcity and limitation to one of abundance and opportunity. And that shift, my friend, can be life-changing.
Speaking of life-changing, this video wraps up with a call to action,
Of course, gotta have that call to action.
It's like classic motivational speaker stuff, but honestly, in this case, I'm here for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they're right. Like, we can listen to podcasts all day long, read all the books, but if we don't actually do anything with that knowledge, what's the point?
Well, it's like that saying, knowledge without action is like food without eating. You might feel full of potential, but you're not actually nourishing yourself.
Okay, that's a little out there, but I get what you mean.
Yeah.
So how do we avoid that trap? What do they suggest we actually do?
It's all about taking that first step, like today. It doesn't have to be this massive, dramatic life overhaul. It could be as simple as like actually sitting down and making a budget, or even just tracking your spending for a week, Or hey, even just putting $1 in that financial freedom jar we were talking about.
It's about like breaking down those mental barriers we build for ourselves, right?
Totally.
We always think we need the perfect time, the perfect plan. But the truth is, there's no better time to start than right now, right?
Exactly. And every journey, no matter how big, starts with a single step. You don't climb a mountain by staring at the summit. You take it one step at a time. And all those little steps, eventually they get you to the top.
I love that analogy. Okay, so to wrap this whole thing up, if you're feeling inspired by anything we've talked about today, I challenge you. Take one concrete action, like right now. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for next week. Do it today.
Yes. It could be as simple as like texting a friend who's really good with money, pick their brain a little, or even just like Googling a financial topic you've been curious about. The important thing is to take that motivation and turn it into something real.
Because knowledge is power, but action is where the magic happens.
100%. And who knows, that one small step today could be what sets you on the path to real financial empowerment.
And that's it for this deep dive into the world of wealth-building habits. We hope you found it, insightful, useful, maybe even a little bit fun.
Remember, financial freedom, it's not some finish line you cross. It's a journey. And it's a journey you can absolutely start today.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep into the world of knowledge.